all from a pixel stream interface. So for them, it means anybody can use it. It means managing that. Think of it, you have only that one application up in the cloud. If you update that, then everyone instantly gets that new feature. So this whole idea of pixel streaming changing, you don't have to worry about, QAing and testing all these different platforms. You do it once and you have a predictable experience in general. I don't know how many of you have heard of Surreal events. They're a platform for trade shows. They're very active in deploying these trade shows. This is for Kirchner. They have everything, video chat. You sit down at a table and you're automatically in a video chat with everyone else. They also have an interesting thing where, like, they could work with you, let's say Lockheed, and they would build let's say the F-35. They'd have an interactive F-35 in the trade show that you can, with the selling points of the F-35. So, when you're not limited by the physical, what you can do then is create an experience for stakeholders and for customers that is kind of unique, because you can bring them together in a networking experience, but then you can also take them into something that would be very hard to execute on a physical trade show. And then pixel streaming is, a requirement for that rich experience to be deployed. I don't know if some of you may have heard of Project Anywhere. This is Cesium. So here it's just been released, so you can get a plugin for Unreal that can load interactively, streams a global database. So all this data came from Cesium that you just saw. You can make a real-time API, so you can make calls into any API and bring that data in. We use the flight data, the worldwide flight data. So that project's released. You can download it and start integrating Cesium. You can integrate your own. You can use Datasmith to get your own data into it. So you can build these mixed worlds where you're using Cesium for some of it, and you're using your project data for other elements. This is a very recent one. This is Noel Marquette. This is a pixel streaming sales configurator for a house. So they basically are selling these higher end units, but they're letting the customer completely configure them and to get the look the customer wants. And again, pixel streaming is the only way they can deliver a rich experience to those customers. Some of you have probably heard of Jacobs. So once we showed them what pixel streaming could do, they said, oh man, that's great. We need to launch this as a solution to our stakeholders. So what you can do now is you can actually go to Jacobs. You can purchase basically a pixel streaming experience, and they deploy that for what used to be physical events. And one of the big benefits from that is, in previously, you do these public engagements, and it's super common, right? Everyone has to do it. And you might get, like Jacobs was saying, you might get 10 people a day walking through the physical thing. When they launch the pixel streaming one, they're getting 300 people through it a day. They're also getting data on those people, because those people are registering for that. So they're walking away, and they can know what people are interested in, right? By monitoring what they look at, what they interact with. So they're gathering a ton of data automatically from the experience. And again, pixel streaming can enable this kind of data gathering to understand what people's issues or interests are more effectively. And here's the latest. Cadillac's all-new Lyric in Unreal Sales Configurator. So you go to the Cadillac site right now, you'll have a pixel streaming Unreal Engine, and it's one of probably a dozen. GM's C8 is also an Unreal configurator. Ferrari, Lamborghini, McLaren, all these guys have moved to Unreal for Audi, BMW have moved to Unreal for configuration. So pixel streaming, if you work with us, you can obviously work with Eagle. We have this standard pixel streaming project that we hand out to our special named accounts. And it's everything you need to do it yourself. So you can obviously do it yourself. We recommend Eagle because their self-serve platform just makes it so much easier. But we work with customers that want to roll their own, that want to do this at all different stages. We just launched. This is the new Twinmotion presenter on the cloud. So we just launched. I think it's sitting on AWS. And basically, anyone that has Twinmotion full license, they can upload their project to the cloud. We will spin up a GPU instance whenever they get a URL back, and that URL can go to a stakeholder, right? The stakeholder clicks on it, and then we spin up a GPU, and we do that based on geographic latency. So we're looking at the latency on the pings to see how far away you are. And then we're allocating an instance based on that, trying to get that latency minimized. So this just, like I said, it's been about a month now. We have restrictions on it. We limit this file size. We're limiting the maximum resolution. We allow you to do 100 CCU on it. It's all free. We're not charging you right now for the experience of using the cloud. We intend to. I'd say the long-term plan is to make you pay for your usage, but right now it is free with the Twinmotion full licenses. And just a little sneak peek of where we're going. We're looking at updating our own integration for the latest WebRTC. We kind of haven't been keeping that current, and then there's problems with ours. These problems have been solved by Eagle. So Eagle has built their own WebRTC on top of ours, or in replacement of ours. But also we're looking at getting Unreal to work on Linux in this mode, and also developing support for containers, if you know what those are. And that is me. Any questions about anything you guys just saw?
Yeah, how do I find the surreal software you were talking about?
Surreal events.
Surreal events, okay.
Yeah, surreal. God, what's their...
Nope, that nailed it. Surreal events.
Yeah. Yes, so they're it's early days for them too, but David and I have been in their world multiple times. They definitely have replicated kind of that networking, casually getting together without too much tech experience. So they've done a lot of things right. They need some more polish, I would say, but in general, they're delivering a high fidelity experience versus all the cartoony kind of things that you guys have seen, I'm sure.
Yes, it does seem a little wacky, but I think that the technical side of things could be awesome. So I would like to look into it. Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else? Did anybody see anything they could use in what we showed?
Well, so and this is Quentin here. I've got a few questions. So for projects that the data set is big, like 100 gigs or more, is there sort of a workflow that you guys are kind of recommending for users, or any thoughts on how to deal with big data?
Interesting. Yes. Yes. The things like Cesium. So, Cesium has a global repository of cities and buildings and etc. So I think you can make changes to the Cesium database and never have to repack anything, right? Mm-hmm. So I think there is the idea of streaming, geometry streaming. We're looking at that ourselves. If you guys are tracking where Datasmith is going, we have working implementations of real-time, connecting Datasmith real-time from your design tool into Unreal or Twinmotion. We've released the Revit version of that for Unreal, but you'll see ArchiCAD, SketchUp, and Rhino in the next couple months from us that will do all of that. So that's an example of where you could have changes happening in the design tool and then being updated in Unreal or Twinmotion, and that being the thing that is shared. So it's a bit. There's some implications of doing that on pixel streaming I can think of. Mm-hmm. So it's not necessarily for the faint of heart to pull that off, but it's something that we're working on at least to make it possible to stream design data.
Excellent. And I noticed that Epic is releasing or making containers available for pixel streaming. Are there sort of some reasons why containers are now becoming a thing, or what are some of the thoughts on that?
I'm sure several of you probably know what the heck containers are, why they're valuable. I'm not the guy. As far as I understand, though, it's a lightweight way of virtualizing. Like everything, and the minimum of everything you need is in that container. It doesn't have other stuff you don't need. And so far as I understand it, it minimizes the virtualization footprint. So therefore, you provision quicker. But I might be making that up. Aaron, do you know something?
Yeah, Ken, I don't. I think when it comes to containerization, that's more in regards to UE usage in the cloud. I don't think that relates to the pixel streaming application. Okay. Linux, we are doing pixel streaming in Linux. That is being worked on, but containerization is more for Unreal Engine cloud usage.
Well, and do you guys have any questions across the board? I mean, not only for the speakers, and thank you, Ken, you're so awesome. That was great. But do you have any questions across, like, for a roundtable perspective for one another?
I have a curiosity about one of your clients' project that you just showed. Most probably the Belgian client or somebody who did things where you sit down around a table and then you can talk with in the video, and it making me remember one of the social app, the Gather or something, the 2D, where you sit down around the table and So who was this client? Can I have the name?
That was Surreal Events.
Surreal Events. So it is
Surreal Events, yeah.
So they are using pixel streaming for the same.
Yeah, they're deploying it because they have to. I mean, they couldn't build an Unreal Engine application and then expect people to download that. It just it's a big barrier. So
huge.
I think they're on AWS. AWS is I think Quentin can correct me, but I think it's, or Aaron, I think it's got the most instances with GPU at this point. So I think most people that have big CCU needs wind up on it. In fact, we just learned the other week of a 1,600 CCU effort. It was some event show thing by yet another of our partners. And they said they had 1,600 CCU, which is kind of the high watermark for me. I haven't heard numbers that big. I know that one of the problems is if you do have a big event like that, if you don't reserve your GPUs in time, forget it. We made that mistake on an event, and we could only find like 300 instant GPUs with like less than a week's warning. So I think you got to realize that, there are some issues there with managing anything that's going to go big. You need to manage it. When GM launched their C8 sales configurator for the Corvette, whatever that thing's called, that they burned through 10,000 supposedly, but they were on, I think they were on G3. I think they were on G3 large. I think there was enough capacity on G3 at that point. This was like a year ago or so, but yeah, they hit 10,000 supposedly. So it can happen. The big numbers can happen on the MetaHumans. We just launched MetaHuman. I don't know if you guys have seen the MetaHumans thing, but that's all Pixel Stream 2. I should have put a MetaHumans in here. I slipped up. But we had about 1,000 CCU on that. So you can see we're kind of all in on the pixel streaming. You're going to see us, driving that more and more. We see that as a compelling way to reach customers and avoiding the detour of WebGL. So look for more.
I'm curious about the MetaHumans, the availability in the region based. So as you guys using AWS, so I am assuming you are not targeting the whole world, because by that means you have to deploy machine into so many area and then managing.
No, we have it all worked out regionally. So we are deploying regionally. So we have that level of sophistication. But there's places we don't yet reach, like China, like our Twinmotion platform won't reach China because they have if you ever need to get to China, you'll have to work out special things, because I don't know, Quentin, if you've had that request yet.
We have, and it was definitely a learning experience, but it's a little bit of a different animal.
Yes. So there's the Chinese Great Wall of technology that you have to overcome too. So.
Yeah.
So I have a question for everyone. I guess anyone that wants to mention did you find any things that any barriers to pixel streaming? Is there anything that we need to do at Epic to help make it easier? We do have documentation. We do have a sample project that's already up on our site.
I mean, I think like the company I work for, you got interior designers, architects. Mm-hmm. Their biggest struggle with using more of the Unreal World Twinmotion is it's not built in. You know what I mean? Which is not really what you're in the market for. And you have the competitor, the E word,
yes,
who is built in, and they can pick that up quickly. So, I mean, I work in that program, I work in your program and everything else. So that's like our biggest fight kind of thing.
Sure.
And, yeah. So,
I think I think one of the things we do that Enscape doesn't do is like the pixel streaming, our new pixel streaming, because imagine you're in an office and you need to share. Now you can just share that link and that's all they need, right? It's the idea of getting stakeholder engagement. And one of our ideas is that we're just starting with letting you present to a third party. Our vision is that you'll collaborate with that third party. So you'll have markup, you'll have annotation, you'll even have voice over IP. So you'll be able to book a meeting with that person and have a rich engagement with them. So we're just getting started with deploying pixel streaming. The initial mechanism is really just to help people present to collaborators and stakeholders. But we have this vision that it'll be a fundamental way of getting feedback and getting that back into your design process. So I think that is where we can add a lot of value. But otherwise, stay tuned. I mean, Twinmotion we've got a lot more coming this year that will address issues for the Enscape users.
And another question I have for the group are, what are some ideas or pieces of the technology that you are interested in seeing developed? And Ken just mentioned voice over IP. Is that of interest to the group? Or what about being able to more or less share a screen where if I have a pixel stream running, then anyone who's also connected is able to see the exact screen that I have? Are there any sort of features like that could be relevant or applicable to workflows?
Yeah, we call that stream control, being able to hand off who's controlling the interface to someone else. So various people are playing with that. The idea that I book a meeting with you guys are all watching my screen, and then someone says, well, I'd like to control it. And you can hand off the control to that person. Does that sound useful to people? I see some head nods. So
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Quentin, didn't you show that in the last tutorial you showed me, where you could have almost like a virtual party and I can be driving and I throw it to somebody in Texas and they can be driving?
Well, that's the holy grail, is to have, the whole environment run like a Counter-Strike level, where we're in there looking at the building with all the different stakeholders, talking to each other on Ventrilo, and then, having collaboration with 40 or 50 people, and then every now and then shooting one of them. But the aspects of doing that, with the models, the size that we're talking about, has been our limitation. Is it's tough for us to break it down into something that we can stream fairly easily, or even get resources to stream. Quentin, we've talked to Jay at Seagull and everything, and that's coming. But it's just something we're going to have to work through our return on investment and clients and everything else, which we're kind of stumbling over COVID last year, but I think we'll be back in full stride here this year.
What hardware are you using right now, Pat, for to run your applications?
Well, as far as the computers,
yes, sir.
We're on RTX laptops. What are they? RTX 5000s. But it runs. We can run the biggest model we've got, which is both the Ranger Stadium, Cowboy Stadium, and Dallas Live Hotel and Event Center all in one model on that laptop. And thanks to, actually Ken Pimental personally made it work for us in Epic, is that, we're cranking, gosh, I think the latest version, we're up in the high 30s frames per second on that model, which is
it's the most impressive. Yeah, it's the most impressive project of scale that you got running on the laptop. I haven't seen anybody else do that. So. Yeah.
Well, I don't, like I said, it's all magic of Chris Roberts. So that it's still, the holy grail is to be able to pixel stream that. But we're talking, the scale's way over 2 gigabytes of data.
Yeah, the T4 is about a 2050, 2060.
Yeah.
You can't compare it exactly because it has a detuned clock in it,
right,
for managing the thermal.
Yeah. Well, we had the NVIDIA guys out here looking at our stuff recently, and because they were telling us, oh no, there's no way that you're binding the geometry processor, blah 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 blah. And then we demonstrated that, well, yeah, we are. So so now they're rethinking their life, and that should be something that's incorporated in their which the NVIDIA GTX or GTC keynote by the CEO was saying they've got 28,000 GPUs come into the cloud.
Yeah.
And
they're getting.
We should be able to start clustering those. So, all kinds of phenomenal cosmic power, I think, is going to be available to us here soon.
Yes, for sure. And I think that's what's needed. I mean, I think the T4 is okay. It's got 16 gigabytes of.
Hang on, I got a water problem. Hold on.
Sure, of GPU memory, but it's definitely getting old in the tooth. The AMD stuff is looking really good. AMD's aggressively getting their stuff on the cloud, and their new tech, it can't, whether or not it can beat, a 39, I don't think it can, but it definitely can beat a 2080 Ti.
Right.
We have some partners working with that. I see AMD making inroads into the cloud, the GPU cloud, because I think they're beating NVIDIA on pricing or whatever.
Yeah. Well, that new card is astounding. So
yes, it is. Yeah.
They've certainly turned our head. AMD has. So.
Yeah.
And we're running out of time, but I do have one quick question. I keep getting asked just on business development calls about capturing screenshots and capturing. Is that something that you're running across, wanting to capture?
We do it all the time.
I think that's all about, collaboration too. I mean, being able to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that is those kinds of tools. I think those are going to be really important. That's like the next stage of collaboration on pixel streaming. I think Eagle could add a layer of collaboration on their offering that they don't currently have.
Sort of the sky's the limit. But thank you, everyone, for joining, and Aaron and Ken for the wonderful presentations.
Yeah, great job.
We're definitely at the forefront, and it's awesome that everyone's interested in pixel streaming. And if you need any further introductions, just shoot me an email, and I can help facilitate that. And thank you all for your time today. It was a great conversation.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Okay.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Cheers.